Hello and welcome to the Basketball Addicts podcast. All right. First one of the new basketball season. Yes, we all get to watch all these teams and a lot of teams that you wouldn't expect to be 3-0 or 3-0 like the Utah Jazz. I mean, it's been an interesting first three games. There's been a lot of movement in the way people view basketball and the people who view who's good, who's not that good. So we're gonna go ahead and basically give you guys our top 10 NBA power rankings for week one. This is gonna be just a week one NBA reactions podcast. We're not gonna touch anything else. This is not an all-time show. This is not gonna be anything like that. It's just gonna talk about week one and our feelings from that. And first things we're gonna talk about is the power rankings. Anything you want to touch on before we move to the power rankings, Chris?
Who would have thought the Utah Jazz would be 3-0 right now? Like that shocks me because I believe look. I'm gonna go buy me right. I'm gonna go buy a Utah Jazz jersey. I don't know who I'm gonna buy a jersey, but I'm gonna go buy one because at the beginning of this, because last podcast we were talking about the Utah Jazz, I was like, they're not gonna win a single game, and they won 3.
Yep.
So shut me up.
Yeah, it's early in the year, so it's hard to know how good they're really gonna be. But the Utah Jazz, Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Toya Horton-Tucky, Rudy Gay. They still got Mike Conley on the squad, so it's gonna be a bad team at the end of the year. They just the first 3 games you take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Look what happens when you get rid of Gobert.
Great things happen, apparently. Yeah. All because of Gobert. Exactly.
All because of Gobert. As soon as you let him go, you become a better team. Look at that.
Yep.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. That's hilarious. All right. So we're going to go ahead and transition here into the top 10 NBA power rankings. We're just going to give you our list. If we want to talk about any individual teams on the list, we will. But we're basically going to talk about this list and talk about people moving up and down as the season moves on. So this is going to be very fluid. So number 1, we have the Golden State Warriors. Number 2, we have the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 3, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 4, we have the Boston Celtics. Number 5, we have the Brooklyn Nets. Number 6, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 7, we have the Atlanta Hawks. Number 8, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. Number 9, we have the Dallas Mavericks. And number 10, we have the Phoenix Suns.
I think the Grizzlies are better than Brooklyn. Have you seen Brooklyn lately? They just don't look like a cohesive... Like Kevin Durant, he's doing pretty well, but... Ben Simmons keeps falling out of the game. It looks more like last year's team. It's like, are you really that good? Are we just talking on paper, or are we just saying in general? Because on paper, they're a great team, but go ahead.
Power rankings is probably, in my opinion, the power rankings is like who is going to be the best team at the end of the year when we predict things. I'm guessing. So you think Memphis is the NBA champions?
No, they'll be better than Brooklyn Nets, though.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I think I have them at 5 because I think this fit's going to take a while to work out. A lot of people are coming for. Ben Simmons hasn't played basketball in like maybe 2 years.
So you forgot how to defend? All that takes is effort.
I mean, he's still a good defender. He's just.
But he fouled out in 2 games.
It's new. He's new. He hasn't played in a while.
Defense just takes.
And one of those games was against Zion. Zion was. It's
he was cooking.
Who's guarding Zion in the league?
True, and then John got Ben to foul him at the last couple of seconds of the game to get fouled out of the game. But still, you fouled out. Like, why are you already going into the last quarter with 4 fouls? Like, come on, be for real.
I'm sure he'll adjust.
Defense takes effort. That's all I gotta say. It don't take nothing special but effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So you disagree? So you would have the Nets lower?
Yeah, I would switch the Nets with the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies are a better team.
Okay.
On paper, the Nets are a great team, but I mean,
it's true.
Out of the first 3 games, you know what I mean? Even though that's not even within the first week. This is the first 3 games. Yeah. I'm going with Memphis.
Okay. sounds good with me.
Then I am biased because I'm a Memphis fan, but
Yeah, you love Ja. You love
Yeah.
that squad before they even got together fully. Yeah,
exactly.
I haven't watched a full Memphis Grizzlies game, and I will not until Jaren Jackson's back. I have
Fair.
a rule with the games that I watch. If a top 3 player, best player on your team's not in your roster, Jason has not watched it. So yes, that means I haven't watched the Chicago Bulls because Zach LaVine's not playing. I haven't watched the Charlotte Hornets because LaMelo Ball isn't on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They played pretty good though. The Charlotte Hornets did, and I mean not Memphis, but Chicago got their teeth kicked in by Cleveland.
Everybody's gonna get their teeth kicked in by Cleveland. We're just
one and go, baby.
Welcome to the land of getting your
we
teeth
the ones,
kicked
baby.
in.
We the ones.
Oh my goodness.
Way to get your teeth kicked in. That's Cleveland's gonna be a great team. I already see that happening. Wait, did you mention the Nuggets? Because I feel disrespected if you didn't mention the Nuggets.
The Nuggets barely missed. The Nuggets, it's a stacked time frame, but the Nuggets were 12th behind the Pelicans at 11.
Wow.
Yeah, just missed.
Wow.
I can break down to you why later in the podcast. I will be breaking to you why I'm not as high as everybody else is on Nuggets. I feel like we all have to realize something about the Nuggets. You know what? I'll talk about it right now because
talk about it right now. Yeah, I want to hear what you got to say.
We have been avoiding the truth for way too long.
Mike Malone's a terrible coach. We know this.
Well, yes, but the truth for a very long time frame is that the Denver Nuggets, no matter how great Jokic and Murray is, this has nothing to do with those two offensively. As long as they have Jokic, Murray, MPJ playing 100 minutes per game, and they don't have 2 all-NBA defenders next to them, they will never be a complete enough team to go past the Western Conference Finals, making it. And they've been trying. This year, they brought in Bruce Brown off the bench. He's a pretty good defender from the Brooklyn Nets. He's a little overrated because everybody was watching the Brooklyn Nets last year, but he's pretty good. They thought KCP was like a defensive addition. That's how poor they are at defense. And Aaron Gordon's a pretty good defender, but not great defender. And, Jamal Murray's not a good defender. Michael Porter Jr. is egregiously bad on defense. Like, it's terrible. Like, it's you might as well put it's bad. It's really, really bad. And, as long as the team is built this way, they're never going to win. And, this great combination of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic is never going to be able to achieve what their upside is. And with, Dallas, the Suns being the 9th and the 10th best teams, we just saw Dallas go to the Western Conference Finals, and they're a more complete team, and so are the Suns. And, even though their ratings might not be that terrible, they're like the 15th ranked because, they put in effort defensively. It's not like it's terrible, like where they just don't move, but this team has extreme weaknesses. And if they don't really change the way they think about their own team, then this will never reach its peak. And MPJ, another thing, I feel like MPJ, we've always wanted more from him, but I think it's time to realize that he's never going to be anything more than 17 to 18 points per game.
So he's never taken a step forward.
No. This year he doesn't look any different. I don't see any growth.
Yeah, you're right.
It's about time that we accept MPJ for what he is, and he's an 18 and very bad defensive guy. I mean, even the year I did some research on this, even the year they went to the Western Conference Finals, they had Jeremy Grant. Gary Harris was a good defender. They had him to guard the guard when Jamal Murray had the ball in his hands, and they had Paul Millsap, who was younger at that point in time, playing power forward. He was a little bit of a better defender inside. And they had Jeff Green coming off the bench and had really good bench defenders as well.
They did.
So that was when they were most balanced. And a quick example is Matisse Thybulle at the 2 and Herb Jones at the 3. Those two would change the world.
Mm-hmm.
Change the world. Then I would be talking about NBA champions. You need a certain level of defensive talent to become an NBA championship team, and I feel like we just have to accept that they have limiters in the playoffs because any complete team's going to run through them. And the Phoenix Suns are a complete team, and they're the 10th ranked team on this list. So
Yeah.
that's why I had them.
Okay, I guess I can see that. I think we do need some defenders for sure. Okay, I'll accept it. Maybe they might make some moves before the trade deadline or whatever, and maybe they'll. I mean, I don't see why nobody like Jay Crowder is still free right now. Like, is nobody going to try to?
Teams.
He's going to help a lot of. There's a lot of teams interested, and I looked at the teams that are interested in him. But once again, Denver doesn't show up. Denver, why do you not want a 3-and-D guy, somebody who could defend and knock down a shot?
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem with that? He'd be great for the team.
They probably don't see the need because they have MPJ though. That's the thing. They got to move off MPJ probably. That's probably what's going to happen. And that's what
a hot
I would
take.
like. I would move MPJ. I would move
That's
MPJ to get the right pieces.
That's a fire take. That's like that kind of
because they have plenty of bench scoring. They have plenty of bench scoring. They draft guards well. They have a lot of shot creators everywhere. It's a team that needs defense. MPJ,
that's a hot
I
take.
would move on.
That's a hot take. That's
you could get the two pieces you need.
That's a slow burn, sizzling kind of take.
I wonder if you could get McHale and no, I would say Cam Johnson and Jay Crowder for MPJ is something I would do. I think the Suns would think
so send MPJ to the Suns.
For Cam Johnson and Jay Crowder is what I would do.
That wouldn't be bad.
Suns would have MPJ, Miles Bridges, Chris Paul, D-Book. That'd be good.
But that just depends on how you value MPJ though. That's the only problem. Like if he's still overvalued and teams haven't looked at him like, what, haven't you grown yet? Then they could still, you know what I mean? They might be able to still fleece a couple teams for some good players for just MPJ and switch them out. But if they've already noticed, which I would disagree if somebody said they didn't notice, then I would be, then we know that they're not going to get too much from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They pay people for this stuff,
Mm-hmm. It's true. Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the next segment that we're going to talk about is things that we've seen so far. We're going to talk about teams and talk about anything. It's an open format discussion. So first thing I would like to lead off with is my takeaway from the Lakers is that
interesting starting subject.
Yeah. LeBron is the same athlete as he was last year, which is extremely impressive. Year 20. 38 years old, being the same athlete as he was 37. I don't see any drop-off, so I'm expecting 25, 26, which is absolutely insane to expect from a 38-year-old basketball player. I feel like everybody in the world can see Russell Westbrook's a bad fit. I mean, it's just very obvious at this point in time. He needs to be traded. He needs to be moved. It's not like he's a terrible player. It's not like he's a bad teammate. It's not like any of those things. It's just he doesn't fit with the Lakers. And Anthony Davis is so far looks like a depreciating asset. I mean, every year his skills develop worse and worse and worse. And Darvin Ham's doing something stupid. He has Anthony Davis in drop coverage. He treats him like Rudy Gobert right now. I saw no. I think you guys may not. Okay, so drop coverage is basically what the Milwaukee Bucks run, which is where Darvin Ham's from, who's the Los Angeles Lakers coach. Okay, they run that for Brook Lopez. Basically, what it means is ball handler comes off the screen, the center stays near the rim. Anthony Davis has been playing center. And if you don't believe me, you only saw it once, Jason. Okay, then why did I see him doing it against Klay Thompson with the ball in his hand? Klay Thompson gets a wide open three, swishes it. So if they're going to do that against Klay Thompson, they're going to do that against everybody.
Yeah.
They're like, how can you possibly misuse Anthony Davis more? The whole intrigue with him playing center is he can be switchable. and he can cover up a lot of flaws on defense, and that's part of his greatness, right? Him and Bam are in a rare group of guys that are above 6'10" and can switch and be on the perimeter and shut down perimeter guys just as well. They shut down guys in the paint. That's just stupid. And the offense is pretty bland. I'm not seeing anything special from Darvin Ham, but it's a tough situation right now. So that's my take on the Lakers so far. Chris, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna start with LeBron. LeBron is very special.
Yes,
and we already knew this, and it's ridiculous that he's almost 40 years old and still moving. Similar to how he was last year. People keep saying Father Time is catching up. Well, we do see short bits of it, right? Small bits of Father Time, like not tapping on the shoulder saying like you're getting old, LeBron. But other than that, it's not too much to really go, oh, I think this isn't the greatest player of all time anymore. It's not much to really wink at this point. Yeah. Anthony Davis, I will say that if he can stay healthy this year, I think that he's going to really show us, because he's had some, for the games he's played, you know what I mean, in the regular season thus far. We're going to knock on wood because we never know what may happen. Because, he's you blow on him and he might break a bone. With that being said, if he could stay, how he is right now, because he's played pretty good in the games that he's played. I think he's 25, and then he had a 30-pointer or something like that, or another 20-point game or something. I think he had multiple 20-point games. I think him and LeBron really matched up and dropped 20. And I think Russ wasn't doing too much of anything. But I'll say this once and say this again, because now I'm moving on to Russ. I think the biggest problem with Russ is fit. And it's him wanting to be the guy, right? He doesn't know how to take a backseat to anybody, and we've seen this. He plays too much hero ball, and he takes shots when he's not supposed to take shots. You have to know how to defer to your superstar. Not saying that Russ isn't a superstar. He's a superstar in his own right. But in the moment that you have LeBron, you have to understand that LeBron is the guy. When the moment we have AD, you got to understand that AD is the number 2. And when you have Russ, you have to understand that Russ is the third option. That means that when all else fails, we pass it to Russ. Not Russ get ball, run down court, miss layup. Not Russ get ball, run down court, miss jumper. Not Russ get ball, air ball layup. We don't need that. What we need for you to do is to be a point guard. Facilitate. Get people open, because when you go toward the basket, what happens? People get scared. Oh my God, he's going to dunk on my face. Let's all crowd this basket. And then what does that do? Yeah. Open up the floor. But the biggest glaring weakness for the Lakers is that when the floor opens up, not when the Red Sea is parted, but when the floor opens up and everybody goes toward the basket because Russ, LeBron, or somebody like this is going full head of steam, who can they kick it out to? They have no shooters. Not one person on that team can consistently knock down a 3-point shot. And we're in a 3-point shooting league now. There's very few players who just consistently do mid-range outside of Jimmy Butler. Because even DeMar DeRozan has started shooting threes now. So we're in a 3-point shooting league where it's dominated by threes. We're not in the 90s anymore. In the 90s, great team. In today's game, worst team. Because they don't have any shooters. They missed that mark. Now, moving on, the way that they fix this is to bring in players by moving Russ. You solve 2 problems. However you may do this, it is a win-win. Now, I have heard of the Charlotte Hornets trade. Have you heard of that one as well?
No.
The Terry Rozier, the Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington for Russ and 2 picks?
No, I have not heard of that.
That's not a bad trade.
No, it's not.
If you're trying to go ahead and stink it up for Vic Wembanyama, if that's what you're trying to do, that's fine. Take Russ over there, you're fine. Or there's also, I think there was a Utah Jazz trade as well that was supposed to go through, and that didn't go. I think they were trying to give Bogdanovich, Rudy Gay, and Mike Conley for Russ and 2 picks. Why did we not do that in the first place if we wanted Bogdanovich? Anyway, the price on Russ, right, has diminished. But the price on your picks have went up. So if you want to get off Russ, you go, hey, I got these 2 picks. Well, we want those 2 picks. Well, you know what you got to do. Okay, we'll take him. We'll send him home or sit him down, and we'll give you what you want. So as long as you have these picks hanging over everybody's head, you can make that move. But it just takes a certain mind that I don't believe that Pelinka has or is capable of having to just move off of Russ. I don't know why he hasn't done it yet. I don't know where he's going. Like, oh, I believe we can make this work. Maybe he is the greatest mind ever. He's just waiting because he knows that people are going to start falling apart because they're like, we want Vic. He's going to just fleece everybody at one time with like a pick here, and Russ here. If that's the possible, greatest basketball mind GM ever. Boom, I'll say it. But if not, and you're just holding on to these picks and just holding on to Russ, you're going to stink up the season. You're not going to make the playoffs again, and you're going to waste another good year of LeBron.
Sure. The GOAT wasted. Time after time.
And who wants to do that? Who wants to do that? Every year, LeBron says the end goal is a ring. It's ring or bust. It's not playoffs or bust. It's ring or bust. You want to build a team around LeBron that can win a ring. LA wants another ring. The fans want another ring. Win a ring. It's easier said than done. I get that. But with the fact that you have Russell there and you continue to let him stink it up every single game, what is the reason? You try bringing him off the bench and he got hurt. And he was like, I'm not used to getting off the bench. Then when you let him start again, he stinks it up and loses you a game. You were up 2 and he takes a hero ball shot. A shot that he should not have taken. That's either I hate it here and I want to be traded and you refuse to trade me, or I have no basketball IQ. Or a combination of both.
Sure.
Either way, we move off Russ and we become a better team. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think moving off of Russ is the cure to at least being a respectable basketball team. I'm not
0-3
ready
right now.
Yeah, I mean, so is the Philadelphia 76ers, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't run to judge the record immediately, but what I will say is that I don't think that they have enough bench depth, even if they knock the Russell Westbrook trade out of the park. I don't think they'll ever be in the ring contention or even the Western Conference playoff contention. But I feel like a 5 to 6 or 7 seed is a reasonable expectation. They do get like a 2 good starting line of pieces for Russell Westbrook or something along those lines. So that's what I'm hoping to see. I'm not 100% sold that's going to happen. It's a tough situation because his contract is ridiculously high. He's hard to move. So,
yeah.
Are you ready to kick it to the next team?
Let's go.
All right, the next team up that we're going to be talking about is the Oklahoma City Thunder. There's really few points that I saw from that game. First point is Trey Mann, who was a first-round draft pick last year, was like the 29th pick, something along those lines. And I just not really seeing him improve at all. I'm kind of worried within 5 years he'll be out of the league. So that's probably a bust on the pick. Jalen Williams, who was a lottery pick this year for the Oklahoma City Thunder, looked really good. I was really high on him coming out of the draft. And my overall question for the Oklahoma City Thunder is they built this team so far in passing. Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams was a great passer he was the best 2-guard passer coming out of the draft. Why is it such a stagnant offense? Why is there no movement? Why is there no cutting? Why is there nothing to take advantage of these great passers? I feel like long term, any coach who sees this roster and says, you know what, I'm not going to utilize this team's passing gifts, is not a coach I want long term. So I think the Oklahoma City Thunder's coach, I don't even know his name, I wouldn't keep him. So that's why I'm thinking about OKC. Is there anything you want to say with that, or you just want to move on?
Let's just move on. That was a solid point.
Okay. The next one we're going to move on to is a big team that everybody wants to talk about, and we'll definitely be talking about it too. The New Orleans Pelicans, man. Zion Williamson looks like the freaking Hulk. He's moving around like just ridiculous. He looks unstoppable. He looks like an MVP candidate. He looks like a superstar. He looks like an all-NBA player. I mean, the way he can handle the ball, his size, there's just nothing anybody can do when he decides to go to the rim. He's a really good passer, rebounds well, good defender. Brandon Ingram really looks like he's really starting to reach the peak as at the beginning of his prime right now. I feel like BI is really starting to enter his prime. I feel like he's 24, 25, so it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
reasonable age-wise, too, for him. He looks really confident. And I feel like the thing that you have to know about the Pelicans is they're going to be a complete team this year because they got so much length. They got Valanciunas, who's 7 foot. They got Jackson Hayes, who's 6'11". They got Zion, who might be 6'6", but he can jump out the gym, so it's not extreme worry. They got Brandon Ingram, who's 6'9". Herb Jones, who's 6'8". Trey Murphy, I meant to say, who's 6'9". All those guys get minutes. Like CJ McCollum, 6'4", that he's playing point guard. Like, this team's big and lanky, and they're going to cause problems for the teams defensively because all that length and a lot of them can defend at a high level. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones are elite defenders. So is Zion at the rim. So this team's going to be very good. I think 4, 5, 6 seed in the West is where they're going to land. And I'm excited to see where they're going to be and how they play in the playoffs. So, Chris, what do you think about the Pelicans?
I just like, who would have thought, right? That coming into this season, with Zion would just make this team look like an unstoppable force just going forward. Like, I've never been so big on a team, on the New Orleans Pelicans team, since I was when Anthony Davis was on there dropping 50 points in like the first 10 games or something like that. Like something ridiculous like that.
When they had DeMarcus Cousins for a little while, and we all thought before he got hurt, we were all like, "Wow, they're going to be tough to stop."
That time too, yeah. But I think the Pelican, I think it was just AD on there. I think he had like 50 for like 4 or 5 games straight. Like, I kept seeing it. It was like, yeah, he dropped 50 again to win a game. That's the last time I was really big on the Pelicans outside the DeMarcus Cousins time. But like, it just seems like everything's finally coming together for that team. Like, they made the CJ McCollum trade and signed him, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And when they got BI, I was like, he looks a lot better. We thought that maybe because Lonzo was gone, that there might be a big switch in the team, and they don't really know what they're doing. And then Zion got hurt, and now he's back, and they just look great. I mean, I don't see any negatives at this point in time, but it's still pretty early in the season. But right now, as it stands, they have everything it takes to push to be a dark horse and push a couple teams to the limit in the playoffs.
Yeah. They're a Western Conference Finals level team. I can say that pretty easily. In a weak year, they would have a chance to win it. Like, if you had to choose between the Pelicans and the 2002 New Jersey Nets when they had J. Kidd, Kenyon Martin, and Kiki Vandeweghe, if you had to choose between this Pelicans team and that team, even though they went to the NBA Finals, you probably choose the Pelicans team because they're just there's nothing there to do about this. You know what I mean? So in a weak year, they would be good, really an NBA championship contender, but this year's with the West is so stacked, it's gonna be tough. Yeah. All right. You ready for one of the more interesting conversations we're gonna have in this podcast, Chris?
I'm down for it.
The next team is a team we love to hate together. This is how you build friendships, kids.
Yeah.
It's the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh my God, with Gobstopper?
Yep. So this is what I saw. When Oklahoma City Thunder played them twice, I watched one of the games, and Oklahoma City, your defense is bad when the Oklahoma City Thunder makes scoring on you look easy. Because they can't shoot threes as a team. They didn't have to try it, Chris. They really didn't have to try that hard. A little bit of a funny Rudy Gobert moment is Rudy Gobert was posted up 6 feet away from the basket on a 6'9" guy, and he turned around to his left to shoot a hook shot, and he completely missed the hoop. Like he was trying to hit a flea off the backboard. It was freaking hilarious because he's got like 5 inches on the guy, and he looks so confident before he shoots it, and he completely just throws it off the backboard like he's trying to play catch off the wall. Like, it was hilarious. It was like a few feet to the left. Like, it was so much funny. That's just such a Rudy Gobert doing Rudy Gobert things. Mr. Unskilled. It's hilarious that Victor Wembanyama is the most skilled big ever, but Rudy Gobert's from the same country. Like, I wonder how he missed on that one.
Right.
Cat, Karl Anthony Towns, they need to be really, really picky with the way they use him because yes, you can put Karl Anthony Towns to the 3-point line, and yes, it's going to work sometimes, right? You should do it sometimes because they
Yeah.
need the spacing, blah 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 blah. But when you put him at the 3-point line, the issue is like most centers, he doesn't have a good enough handle to dribble from the 3-point line to the rim without getting his cookie stolen. He
Mhm.
just doesn't. Look, most centers can't. Not every center's got guard skill like Victor Wembanyama. You know what I mean? So that's the issue is when he tries to attack the basket or attack his defender in any way, he can't do it because he can't get close enough to the rim. So he's really getting degraded in his talent and not using well enough. What I would do is I would put him in the mid post. I would put him in the mid range. Every fourth play. So 1 out of 4 plays, I'd put him in the rim range on the wing, and I'd have Rudy Gobert on the opposite side of the rim on the block, so that he has the space to work. So you can get him in his spots, get him in his groove. Because when he's in the mid range, it's easy to get to the rim because it's not that many dribbles. It's 2 dribbles for a guy that size and length.
Yeah.
Right, that's the thing that great power forwards used to do when they used to have centers in the league. Look at the way Dirk was used for the Mavericks. Look at the way that Tim Duncan's was used for Spurs. Look at the way that Kevin Garnett was used for the Timberwolves. They all played in the same spot when they had a center with them. So just be like that. I understand basketball's not played like that anymore, but I'm not the dodo bird that put Rudy Gobert on the team with Karl Anthony Towns. So at
Yeah.
least use him right, because if you just use him like Kevin Love was used on the Cleveland Cavaliers, this is going to be really sad. Okay, I really love watching Cat play, so I hope they use him correctly more often. And the only other thing I have to say is I don't think Anthony Edwards improved. I didn't see. You can see what I mean by that is I was expecting to see a floater in the lane. I was expecting to see a new, step back package, or I was expecting to see, a really crisp mid range jumper when the center's in drop coverage. I was expecting to see some sort of improvement from Anthony Edwards, or maybe his body is really leaned out. Like his body doesn't look like it's really lean right now. I don't know what he was doing in the offseason. I expected him to improve, but from what I've seen, Anthony Edwards looks like the same Anthony Edwards from last year, which is surprising. But some guys do this. Some guys are hyper athletes, but they're not great workers. And he's a hyper athlete, but he does the same exact skill set as he did in college. Like he was the same guy back then. I have a few moves, a few side steps to create from the 3, and I'm really athletic and I can get to the rim. Nothing's changed. So, other than being in the NBA, and he's also not a better passer as well. Like I was waiting for any of those areas, but he didn't improve at all. So it's very odd. So, what do you think about the Timberwolves, Chris?
Well, I say it once and I'll say it again. As long as you have Gobstopper, will always have one of the worst defenses ever. I don't know where people be coming from with like, oh, he's a great defender. Stop talking about Gobert. No, it's Gobstopper, and he's terrible. Stop it. He's not good. I thought it would work. I was all for it. I was like, oh, you put a center in there, let Cat. You know what I mean? He has a little bit of sauce. He might be able to do a little bit of something and then knock down a 3 or something like that and give him space to work, because you put all these Mighty Mouses around him, people shorter than him, and then you push him off into the corner anyway. So just do it again. But now you have a center because you don't want him to be a center, clearly, because you put all, like I said, you put all these people who are shorter than him, nobody who's even close to the same height, and then you just like, oh, we're just gonna crowd the lane so that he can't work and he can't get anything off. So we're gonna sit him in the corner and make him a 3-point shooting 3-point shooting center, like a Kevin Love. Only difference between him and Kevin Love was that Kevin Love sometimes went down low. We don't see Cat go down low because he's a shooter now. This is the problem with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this is why Kevin Garnett does not want his jersey retired there, because they are a poorly run organization. They got Gobstopper thinking that things were going to change, and they made it worse for Cat. Cat, please leave.
Yeah, we've been saying that for a long time. Since this podcast started, we've been, sending DMs every day. Please leave. I sent him a poem from What's that famous poet? Dang, really famous? Oh my goodness.
It's a lot of famous poets.
I don't know. I completely had a blank there. I had a joke there, but obviously I miraculously failed it. So here we are.
There we are. You got
Yeah.
Gobstopper, and
Uh-huh.
it's just not good. It's not good. This and it's not just Gobstopper, right? It's not.
Hmm.
It's the fact that it's a poorly run organization,
Yeah.
and you have one of your star players like, yeah, I eat Popeye's chicken every night, and like,
Mhm.
bro, you got Cat in there. Like, could y'all please stop asking him about that? I don't like when he do that. Like,
Yeah, I saw that.
like,
Yeah.
just listen,
Ant does
Cat
not look
leave
shredded.
because he's eating Popeye's chicken.
I guess so. I guess that's why I'm not shredded too, Chris.
Yeah, he says that he's enjoying that six piece
Yeah.
with the biscuit.
Mm.
And
Popeyes
the
do
two
hit though.
it do though. So
Yeah.
you got the 6 piece with the biscuit and the two sides. I'm like,
Mm.
ain't
I'm more of
bad.
a
But then again, I'm
spicy
not an
chicken
NBA
sandwich
player. I'm
guy.
not getting paid millions of dollars. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
Millions of dollars to play a sport. I'm just doing this for fun, you know. So, but still, so I have every right to say this. I could be as fast as I want to be. What you gonna do? Anyway, Gobstopper, tired of him. I'm gonna click
Sure.
from Gobstopper. That's his new nickname, Gobstopper.
It's an ever evolving nickname. It was Gobert, and now it's Gobstopper.
Now it's Gobbert.
Because
And then it was
everything's
Gobstopper.
spell checked. Ooh,
Everything's
what if that's his
spell-checked.
nickname, Mr. Spellcheck?
Mr. Spellcheck. Oh yeah, because of the guy who was like,
Yeah,
it's not Gobert. It's not Gobbert. It's Gobert. It's French. All right,
Oh,
it's
gosh.
Gobstopper, and your Gobstoppers. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Oh my goodness. Ugh. All right. Anything else before we kick it to the next one?
No, we're fine, man.
All right. Next team up is the Houston Rockets. Kevin Porter
this
Jr.
team.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
I have bad news for you because I have a
What?
bad take. Kevin Porter Jr. needs to be traded. The reason why Kevin Porter Jr. needs to be traded is because the experiment last year was, can Kevin Porter Jr. improve enough to be a point guard in the NBA to be next to Jalen Green? All right, we're going to give him a year to try to do that. This year, his passing looks really, really bad. Like, he looks like a two guard trying to play point guard, like, specifically. And it looks so far away that I just can't imagine him ever being more than, a 6 to 7 assists per game guy. But the thing is his stats will always be inflated because he's the only point guard on the team. Not point guard, but he's the person that's the main ball handler. So his stats are fluff. Right? They're not an accurate description. Like, he's a turnover machine. He's a bad pass machine. I can't count the many times that I saw a wide open guy and he just completely didn't see him. Like, it was just really, really bad. And I feel like obviously Jalen Green's the better two guard. Jabari Smith Jr. is not a passer. Jalen Green's not a passer. Alperen Sengun is a decent passer, but he's never going to be Nikola Jokic, which I read in the article, which was absolutely hilarious. Oh, you look at the Denver Nuggets; they don't have a pass first point guard. Alperen Sengun could be the next Jokic. Like, hello, Jokic is a freaking unicorn passing the basketball at the center position. That's like me being able to jump 25 feet from where I'm sitting right now. Like, that's as impressive as what Jokic does. Okay, that's as rare as what that is. Okay, and they need passing to make this team work, and it's probably going to either come from the point guard position or the power forward position. But you're more likely to find it from the point guard position. So I would move on from Kevin Porter Jr. It's not because I hate Kevin Porter Jr. as a player. I feel like he could be a productive two on a good team, but it's just the point guard fit just doesn't work. My next thing I want to talk about is Jabari Smith Jr. not really being used right. Everything I saw Jabari Smith Jr. from his first game was off of ball rotations, swing around the perimeter, and he catches and he has to do something with it. I don't know if they watched him play in Auburn, but he caught a lot of his shots off in the mid range. Anybody watching him at the free throw line, catching the ball and shooting over people like they're Mike Bibby with his fadeaways. Yeah, he can't get to those. He can't do that without catching the ball in the mid range. It's not that complicated. Jalen Green looks really good. I expect him to average 22, 23, 24. His first game, he was real rusty, but I saw he's already dropped a 30-point ball. Like, Jalen Green's that guy. Jalen Green looks like he's developing confidence wise as well. He's probably going to get up 20 shots a game. Prince and Goon wasn't starting game one. I don't know if that's changed. Hopefully it has. He's the best center on the team. I would like to see how much he grows. I'm not a huge Al Prince and Goon fan overly, but by far the most talented center on the team. What do you think about Houston?
I like the team. I really do. I love, I fall in love with these really young teams because I like seeing, those young guys grow together and become something great. So I fall in love with the Charlottes. I fall in love with the Atlantas. I fall in love with the Memphis Grizzlies, and to some extent the Denver Nuggets. But with this team particularly, I'm like head over heels about Jalen Green. Like I'm seeing everything that you were saying earlier. I'm like, wow, and I was like, it seemed like he just picked right back up where he left off at. And that's a big thing considering how he was playing after the All-Star break was like All-Star level, and it was only his first year. So going back into this now, it's just like, wow, he's just like, okay, we're going to see a lot of Jalen Green, a lot of good things from him, a lot of good scoring games where he's going to drop like 30 plus points and going to lead them to a couple wins, which I'm okay with. Your Kevin Porter Jr. take, it kind of sucks to me, right? Not that it sucks as in like it's a bad take, but I'm just saying like it sucks like for me because like I like Kevin Porter Jr. Right? Like I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. Like I like that he went to that team, but I get what you're coming at. He is more of a scorer kind of guard. I mean, scoring kind of guard. So he'll be good on teams that don't have guards that can score. That really just need somebody to have some good output without having to pass the ball because you have other solid passers on the team.
Yeah,
but he just because he lacks there. Yeah. Now Jabari Smith, right? Not a big problem there, right? That's not his fault. That's more coaching fault, right? You pay people millions of dollars to scout these guys out and make the right decisions, and then you try to push them into positions that they're not used to being in, and then you wonder why you don't get the same output as you did when they're in college, and then people want to call them a bust because they're only averaging 10 points when they used to. In our case, was Jabari Smith. Like he's used to, free throw line in, you know what I mean? But you're putting him on a 3-point line. And you're like, do something. It's like, but bro, like, did you know what I'm good at? Like, do you know where I thrive?
He's so much more than a standstill shooter.
Yeah. So it's like, you try to take these players and you try to put them in positions that you want that like fits your team and not really playing to the strength of the players on the team. So it's a coaching problem. Other than that, I still love the team. I love seeing young guys grow together. If they move on from them, I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to hate the team or anything like that. I'll still like the team just as much. It's just that I'll be kind of sad. I'm like, well, I liked it when they were together,
Yeah. It's Kevin Porter Jr. is a good player, and he'll have a really good career. And there's a lot of teams that he could really help. So I would be moving on. Say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and kick it to the next team. Literally from the bottom of the West to the top of the West, Golden State Warriors. Steve Kerr still looks like he's a demigod coaching. Steph Curry looks the same athletically as he did last year, so there's no downward movement there. I'm still expecting this team to be the best team in the NBA. I feel like they really proved that this weekend, and I don't feel like there was any major takeaways other than one thing, which is Jordan Poole improved as a passer. He had 7 assists in game 1. You couldn't count one game that happened last year. I mean, immediately, as soon as I started watching him play, and I was like, he made some tough pick and roll passes that there was like a narrow like angle where he could only fit that pass in with like a tough. Everything has to be like perfect, and you gotta angle it right just to get it right in the spot. Like he had some passes and some high basketball IQ swings. Like he would get the ball and he would pass it to somebody to the left side, and they pass it back to him, and he would pass it back because in the block right there, um, Draymond Green has a guard guarding him. So, even though he might want the ball, like last year, if he's getting a ball pass to him, most of the time he's going to think, oh, I'm going to shoot. I'm a shot great. But now he's starting to think the game too at a higher level basketball IQ wise. He hasn't taken a great leap shot creating wise, but last year he was a true. If you had to start him, you would start him at 2 because last year he wasn't ready to be a point guard. He wasn't ready to make the passes. He was ready to be a high basketball IQ guy. But now he is. If you put him on most of the teams in the NBA, he's a point guard. And I think that's great for them. No wonder they gave him the big deal, 140 million or something like that. They probably saw this passing and they were like, yeah, this guy is taking the next step here. And it's great for Jordan Poole. And this is the signs of a worker, man. This guy was a 29th, 30th pick. Every year I've seen him get better. And this is just another way he's grown. And this is partially culture. You have great culture there in Golden State. The vets show you how to work. You get to watch Steph Curry go to be greatness, try to be great every single day. You learn a few things. So, yeah. What do you think about the Warriors?
I feel like that's really like one of those teams that is like self-explanatory. I just feel like they're going to keep winning. They slowed down for a couple years because injuries and things like that, and then they took it right back over, slowly rebuilt the team, and put them right back on the map with the same core of Clay, Dre, and Steph. Yeah. And then they added pieces to it, and now they have more championship pedigree. They're just going to continue to dominate the league for a very long time. I don't see it changing anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So on that side, I am a little bit of a hater because I'm like, I just want to see another team like beat them, but I just don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm. True.
not at this point at least. I don't see it happening. But because they just so well coached. Yeah. They play well together. It's just like they have such great chemistry outside of even Draymond and Jordan Poole's scuffle. Like still great chemistry. Like still look like a great championship. They look like they're the champion. Like they won the NBA championship already this year, and it's just crazy. Like it's already clicking. And it's only been a couple games. So going into the rest of the season, God forbid somebody injured, knock on wood, then they're going to just repeat again. It's not too much you can do about that team.
Mm-hmm. No. I agree. All right, you ready to kick to the next subject?
Let's go.
All right. I am so glad that I get to truly be an Atlanta Hawks over pusher. However many wins you think they're gonna make, they're gonna be over. Let me tell you something. Atlanta Hawks surprised the living poo out of me. You guys just read our power rankings, listened to our power rankings. I had the Atlanta Hawks 7. Before I saw that game, they were probably 14th, 15th because I didn't believe in a certain side of the basketball, and it's not the offensive side. I'm so excited. Look, the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young didn't make any vast improvements. The only person that really improved, I think, skill-wise is John Collins. He's hitting the mid-range shot now. He's handling the ball a little bit better, and he can get to the rim and finish. And John Collins has grown. But other than that, there hasn't been a lot of growth. But what I'm so excited about is the fit of this team. Because when I say DeJounte Murray, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, Onyeka Ongakwu. They got both of the Drew Holiday brothers off the bench that are not Drew Holiday, but like the other two. There's 3 Drew Holiday brothers in the NBA. That is all guys that can defend at either an above average or very, very good or to elite level. And at the starting lineup, now they got a guard. That's DeJounte Murray, who's a very good defender to guard whoever the best guard on the other team is. See, because they used to have Kevin Huerter. They used to have Bogdanovich. Those two guards during the Atlanta Hawks era. So they had nobody to really guard the guard and really take the minutes off of Trae Young defensively. So they have DeJounte Murray for that now. And DeAndre Hunter's a great defender. He's been a great defender for a while. It's a lot of injury issues. but he's a very good defender. John Collins is a good defender, and Clint Capella is a good defender, and Yuka Ongonku was a really good backup defender. He's like starting center level guy who's just off the bench because they still have Clint's contract. I just listed 4 good defenders on the Atlanta Hawks roster starting lineup. When have we ever been able to say that?
That's
Never. This is a defense that could be a top 10 defense in the league. Okay, so an offense that's usually in the top 5 best offenses in the league just gained the ability to be a top 10 defense in the league. Now you get where I'm coming from. Look, Nate McMillan has been a great coach for a long time. He's going to be a good coach. He's going to maximize this team. And on top of that, this DeJounte Murray fits so beautifully in the offense because he doesn't score anywhere that Trae Young scores from. He's an attack the basket guy. He's got mid-range game. He can kind of shot create from the mid-range a little bit, and he's got really nice mid-range pull-up. And yeah, he could shoot the 3. Well, he's not a liability, but he's like an all-around scorer who's also a great passer. DeAndre Hunter is a mid-range guy who can hit the standstill 3, but he's got a mid-range game. Like, he can shot create for himself. That's a different layer of a scorer. And we talked about so much about passing on this podcast. We talked about the Warriors winning through passing. We're talking about LeBron winning through passing, how important passing is. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray can both average 10 assists on a team. They both just did it. You know what that means? From 2 players, they're a great passing team. Everything's going to be easier for everybody. And you know what they're going to do with Bogdanovich? So whenever either DeJounte Murray or Trae Young isn't on the floor, Bogdanovich is going to be the other guard. So they're going to have him, a high-tier guy coming off the bench like that. Like, this team is going to be fighting for the top 4 teams in the East. This team is a borderline. They're going to be an Eastern Conference level, championship level team. They're going to push teams. This is going to be no joke. Whatever the spread is, hit the over if you're a betting man. Okay? This team is going to blow people's minds. So, Atlanta Hawks, man, I'm so high on them. I'm so happy because I used to be high on them when they beat the Philadelphia 76ers, and I predicted it. Last year, I wasn't feeling them. They weren't the same, but this year, man, I'm so happy to be an Atlanta Hawks supporter and believer. All right, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, that was a lot, man. Look, I know that you love the Atlanta Hawks, right?
Yes.
So, like, I don't have anything bad to say. Only thing I want to say is that when we were talking about this before, and I was like, they picked up DeJounte Murray, you weren't too big on that.
No, I didn't see it. My fault.
I was like, they picked up DeJounte Murray for it. He was like, he's not that great. I disagree. And I was like, well, okay. It was like, because I mean, shoot, I just know him from the Spurs, so I just know he's a solid defender, and I was like, okay, they play pretty well together. They're building chemistry, so I mean, I can see what you're talking about. I'm not going to go too in depth because I think that you really just laid everything out there. That's your man crush team anyway, so
sure,
you can have that one.
Everybody's got some, and that's mine.
Yeah,
I'm just so excited. All right, we can kick it to the next team if you're done with that one.
Yeah.
The next team up is the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, this is a team that's not doing great in the record book, but we all know they're a better team than 0-3. And first thing I want to list off is PJ Tucker lost a step. Sadly, Father Time gets us all. The guy's been in the league since maybe like 2005, 2006. Like, he was in the league. He was drafted before Kevin Durant. He was just playing overseas. So, sadly, he lost a step. Joel Embiid catching the ball at the free throw line. I don't really know what they're trying to do. Well, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to not make it harder for teams to double him, but it's just stupid because he's not used to creating from that spot, and it led to a lot of turnovers, and hopefully they don't continue to do it. And James Harden's dropped like 3 30 balls or something like that, or 2 30 balls. It's at least 2 30 balls. And I'm not willing to trust it yet because I'm such a James Harden fan. I wish that he'll just come back to the way things used to be. But I'm going to wait until 20 games in. But if he's averaging 26, 25, 27 points per game, we're going to have to readjust the way we look at the 76ers because even though they can't guard very well or very poor defensively, if you got James Harden averaging 26, 27, Embiid averaging 28, and Maxey averaging 20, Tobias Harris averaging 18, then they're going to be tough to beat. So, what do you think about the 76ers?
Man, that's interesting. So from what I've seen from them, right, from Joel Embiid and Harden, I think that you're absolutely right. They're a decent team, and as long as James Harden is clicking the way he has been, then they're still the team to beat. But you can't really judge it off of that. You have to wait a little bit.
Mhm.
But just because they're 0-3, they're not like the Lakers. They still have a chance. You know what I mean? They still have opportunity. They're still great on paper. They still have a chance to show improve. So I'm not gonna be too hard on them. But yeah, Father Time catches up to all of us. We're not all able to be LeBron James. So eventually we all lose a step, start walking a little slower. PJ Tucker in his case, he's not as quick anymore, not as athletic. So he takes a step back there, but still a decent defender.
Yeah, true.
So still was able to make a big play. I mean, it's very easy, right, to pick out the low lights of James Harden. Like the crossover, the guy fell and he airballed a 3 afterwards. It's just that's easy to pick that out.
Yeah.
But there's been some good things that came out of that. That came out of James Harden so far, and I know it's hard for me to say that because I'm not the biggest James Harden supporter. But
not a super fan like me.
not at all, because I don't. He just flails on the floor like a fish. But yeah, I mean, shoot, if it works, it works. So I'm still like, okay, Philly has a chance, but I'm not super big on Philly. But I'm like, okay, I guess
I could see it. Yeah. All right, you ready to transition to the next team?
Let's go.
The next team up is the Boston Celtics, and my takeaways from the Boston Celtics are really simple. The coaching drop off. I can see they don't use as much movement. There's a little more stagnation with their offense. They're really relying on the pick and roll, ball handling, shot creation ability of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Defensively, they look a little worse schematically as well. But you can never ignore this team's talent. I mean, you add Malcolm Brogdon to this team's ridiculously deep. They're long. They have a lot of defensive talent. They got a lot of guys that can shoot, a lot of guys that can shot create. I mean, this is probably, if Ime was coaching this team, this would be my favorite for the East by far. They would be number 2 on the power rankings. So that's the way I feel about Boston. What do you think about Boston?
Jason Tatum looks great. That's like my main takeaway. He looks great. And I was like, okay. We're going to see a different level of Jason Tatum this year. And I'm just excited to see it. I'm just really sad about the coaching thing. I'm like, I really want to see how they would look